Hi everyone, this is Joy. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is for Spellbinders using the Always Welcome Large Die of the Month for October. Now I have made 3 cards from this fabulous die, and this is definitely something you want to have in your stash. Everything that I've used for these cards is listed and linked below in the description and also on my blog. Now here's what the die set looks like. You get your door, your insert window piece, 2 columns, your top frame, your patio, your 2 front door mats. One says wishes and one says welcome. You have the word best, your mail slot, your doorknob, the die cut pieces that will fit on your door panel, extra decorative pieces for your columns and your envelope. You have a wreath, a snowflake, some flowers, and some leaves. That is the whole large die set. It really is a good die set, you guys. Now I'm starting with my first door that I'm going to be making, and I'm making it from white birch cardstock, but it's really thin, so I want to adhere that to a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use some Stick It adhesive to adhere that down. I'm going to stick that down to the back of that white birch cardstock, adhere that down, and then I'm going to use my bone folder to really get it to stick. If it doesn't stick properly when you lift off the release paper, you will notice that it kind of peels up with the release paper. I'll show you right here. See how that's not sticky? So I really want to burnish that down. You also could run this through your die cut machine and that would help it stick as well. I'm peeling back that release paper and sticking on my thicker white piece of cardstock. We need this to be thicker because being so thin, your door isn't gonna look right, if that makes sense. Using my bone folder to burnish it down, and now I'm gonna center this die cut door. It cuts on 3 sides, and then the one side is left like a hinge, so you can open up this door. I love that it's an interactive die cut. I'm going to use my T ruler to line this up. I just want to get this centered, making sure my door isn't all wonky. I'm going to take my bottom piece and my top piece of my dies and just making sure that everything is lined up great. I'll tape that down with some low tack tape, run that through my die cut machine, and you will see here in just a second, you've got this beautiful door that has embossed features on it, and I'm going to fold it back on that hinge. Once I'm done doing that, we are going to start on our 3 backgrounds. Again, I said I'm making 3 cards. So this first one, I am using the Lawn Fawn brick stencil, inking that up with some Tailored Expressions sea salt ink with my Tailored Expressions blender brushes. I wanted to have a nice light gray background, and this sea salt ink is perfect for that. I'm going to add a little bit more at the bottom, and then we pull this away, you'll see this beautiful background. I'm going to use that brick stencil again, but this time I'm going to use Fired Brick and Aged Mahogany Distress Oxide inks. Fired Brick I'm going to lay down first, get a pretty decent coverage that way. And then I'm going to come back in with the Aged Mahogany and add in some more details. And I'm not going to cover up the whole background with it. I'm just going to add some darker spots here and there. We know that red brick is just not one solid color. It's got lots of variations, and so I wanted to mimic that. I like this red brick. I'm going to pair it up with a black door for like a traditional brick home, which I think is really, really pretty. So as you can see, I'm just adding in spots here and there, not worried about getting an awesome, great coverage. I really don't want that. I want all of that variation. And look at that really beautiful brick background. Now I'm going to take my score tool and I'm going to take another piece of white cardstock, and I'm scoring about every ½ an inch or so. I want this to have the look of a siding for a house, and this will be for our 3rd door. All right, let's put this together. I am starting with my top door frame using some liquid glue. I have die cut this from bright white cardstock. All the cardstock that I've used on this project is from Cardstock Warehouse. And now I'm going to glue down my first set of columns, and I've die cut 4 columns for each card. So that's 12 columns that I've die cut, all from white cardstock. And I did that because I want to add some dimension with the columns. Now, each time I glue something on with my liquid glue, I open up my door and make sure that my door can still open. I haven't glued it shut, number one. Number two, I don't have anything in the way. So for the columns, I want some dimension. So for the second 2, I will add some foam tape behind that and give it some nice dimension. Glue that on, and it looks really, really good with the door. It really makes it, it really gives it the 3D look. And you will see that your columns fit in nicely. If you glue that top piece down first, your columns just kind of fit in like a puzzle piece, which is really super helpful. And then you just line up that bottom piece and everything just fits so nicely. Now here are these little detail pieces that I'm adding to the tops and bottom of these columns. I kept them in white. You can do them in different colors and that would look fabulous as well. I just kept this really ultra simple because I really wanted it to be all about the front door. So I'm gluing those top and bottom with a little bit of liquid glue. That also helps me so I can kind of slide them around in place. And then I'm making sure there's not too much overhang. So again, I can open my door because that's the whole point of this card, isn't it? So now that that's done, I've got this window piece that I have die cut from black glitter or black sparkle cardstock, excuse me. I'm going to center that into the door. And I've also die cut this again out of white cardstock, which I've done for every one of these cards. I'm gluing on the black mail slot, and there will also be a black doorknob. So here's the white pieces that I've die cut out of another piece of white cardstock, excuse me. And I'm going to inlay those. I'm adding in some liquid glue and just placing these in. You could do this with different colored cardstocks to give it the idea or the look of a stained glass window, which I think would be absolutely stunning. You could use vellum as well, and that would be a whole lot of fun. But I'm just going to adhere in all these white pieces so that black, to me, kind of looks like black wrought iron stands out. Using my jewel picker to glue those in. Now I'm gluing my two pieces of wreath together, and you want 2 because you're going to offset them to make them look like it's really full. And I have die cut that from Lockwood green. Then I die cut the flowers from red Wagon sparkle. And then I saw my doorknob there and I needed to glue that on before I lost it. And there's 2 sizes of flowers, and so I'm gluing the little one on to the big one, and I have 3 total sets of flowers, and I'm going to glue those onto the sides. I have also die cut the leaves in Lockwood green as well. And once I have these flowers glued on, I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. And then I'm going to glue down and die cut and then glue down the front door mat. This one says welcome, and I left all of the letters in. I just wanted this rug to be straight black, and I didn't want to worry about having another color underneath. I just really liked the look of that. But as you can see, it says welcome on there, which is really a lot of fun. Now I'm coming back and adding in my little leaves to my wreath. Now that the flowers have dried, I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm just going to tuck them in and around those 3 flowers. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to add some foam tape behind this wreath because I want it to have some dimension. These little leaves are so tiny, so definitely use some tweezers. Now that that's adhered down, I'm just centering that in the window. It really is a really cute, cute wreath. I am going to tuck in my little white envelope into the mail slot, and you definitely could die cut these envelopes to a different color, and that would be really, really darling. I just kept it white and simple. Now I'm going to trim around the bottom, the top, and the sides of this door. I'm trimming off all this excess wood cardstock. Once that's done, we will adhere that to the background. And the background for this door is the siding background that we used. First, we need to adhere a piece of cardstock to the back because we need somewhere for our sentiment and to write all of our sweet things to the card recipient. So I'm using a little bit of liquid glue and adhering that down. And when you open the door, you'll have somewhere to write. I'm adding some extra adhesive to the back because now I want to adhere this down to my card panel that we have scored earlier. And I centered that in, and doesn't that look really, really great? I'm coming in with a gray Copic marker T1 around that extra detail on the posts. I want to give it some shading and some shadow for a little more detail, a little more realistic look on these. Then I'm going to come back in with the blender pen and really blend that out so it's not so harsh. That way it's a nice soft shadow effect. Now I'm stamping the center. It says Joy to the World. I'm adding a little bit of black glaze pen to the doorknob to make that look a little bit shinier. And then I'm coming in with some gold stickles to the center of the flowers. And that card is done. Isn't that fabulous? Now I have done all of the die cutting for all 3 of these cards. I'm not going to show you again how I put everything together for the basics because you've already seen that. I'm going to show you the differences on these next cards. So this door, I am making it a Halloween door. I have used orange cardstock for the wreath, and it's flame cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse with grape jelly purple leaves, and then the black glitter cardstock, it's called Onyx. For the flowers, I did everything the same. I'm adhering those down. I'm going to do the same foam adhesive behind this wreath so it has dimension on the door. And as you can see the door there, I have that window, and I left those 3 black pieces out in the center, which I talked about earlier. Really super fun. I die cut that from gold mirror cardstock, the same as the mail slot and the doorknob. And then these square pieces I'm popping up with foam tape. I did not do that on the first door, but I am showing you the difference on this door, and it just gives it some great dimension. It looks really, really fabulous. So now that that's done, let's stick in this little envelope. I'm using a little bit of liquid glue and my tool-in-one to prop that open. And now it's time for the rug. I have die cut that from the flame cardstock and the black cardstock, the same that I did on the door. I'm going to glue those 2 together, and now, unlike the first one, you can see the colored words, and it says welcome, and I wanted it to feel Halloween, so obviously the black and orange. Using a little bit of liquid glue to adhere that down. And doesn't that just look great? Again, don't forget to add your piece of cardstock to the back. And then we're going to adhere this down to our red bricked background. And I just love that this gives it kind of the traditional looking house. Adding in the sentiment, and the sentiment says boo to you, and that is from Tailored Expressions. I believe it's their mini strips Halloween sentiment, and I did that in candy corn ink. And that was already done, and I had that stored away, so I just pulled out that sentiment. Isn't that a fun, fun door? Okay, guys, on to our third one. This, I love the color of this door. This is the Spearmint cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse, and I die cut the front mat from gray cardstock. I believe it's pale gray cardstock that I used. And then I cut out another piece of white that goes behind it. I really wanted to keep it this simple because the door is so fabulous and vibrant. So I'm going to glue that together and then adhere that down. And I'm actually going to use the word best on this one. I didn't think I was going to, but I am. Now for that window and for the doorknob and the mail slot, I have used rose gold mirror cardstock for that. I thought that would be beautiful with this Spearmint door. And I did put in all of the white background pieces into the window. I've die cut the word best from white diamond glitter cardstock. I'm gluing down that mat that says wishes. So this door is going to say best wishes. And I'm adding some foam tape again for these little square pieces on the door. And this time I have die cut those from the rose gold cardstock, and we will adhere that down, and that will give this door a completely different look. I wanted to be able to share with you guys definitely different ways of making this die cut door work. There's so many different things that you can do with it. So That's partly why I made 3 doors. The other reason why was because this is so much fun. How could you not? So I tucked in that envelope. Now I'm going to make the wreath. This wreath is die cut from a green cardstock from the Fields of Green paper pack. I will have that listed for what color green that is. I've die cut the snowflakes from the white diamond glitter cardstock and gluing that and the word bright to the wreath. And again, adding foam tape behind that for some dimension. I like that it sticks up off the door. Definitely makes it feel 3D. It's so great. Little tiny thin pieces of foam tape. And I'm adhering that. So now this whole front says best wishes. So I actually did not add a sentiment inside this door because I felt like the front says everything and then you can just write what you need to on the inside of that door. I'm gluing that to the gray bricked background that we did. I think that was the first background that we made. And then I'm going to add the doorknob and I'm going to add a little snowflake to the bottom rug just to finish it off. And then this card is done. Isn't that super fantastic? I'm going to share all 3 cards with you again. Again, that one I did not stamp a sentiment in, but you could. I still did the same highlights on all 3 cards with the marker. Here's our Halloween one that says Boo to You. Really super fun. And then our first card that we made with that really awesome wood door. I love how that one turned out. It's Christmassy. And it says Joy to the World. And I just really hope you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up, comment, share. I definitely love all of that. I have some affiliate links below. It costs you guys nothing to use them, but it does help me. So thank you, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.